All right. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Red Bench. I am Abby, the Executive Director at the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Museum. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight and for being super excited about this event. It is certainly a treat to have these women here to talk about their Olympic experiences. If you already know me, you know that there's one thing you can count on, and that is that I am always going to ask you to support the museum. We are a nonprofit, and that definitely comes with its challenges. And right now, funding for cultural organizations is running dry, and we're counting on our members, our donors, and our event attendees like you to help keep us funded. This event tonight is free, but if you haven't yet donated and you do have the ability to, please consider making a donation. With that said, we're also running our year-end appeal. It would be wonderful to see additional support before December 31st. This not only ensures we meet our annual goals, but it sets us up for success in 2026. So please make a Red Bench donation, a year-end donation, or become a member. Maybe do all three if you're feeling extra generous. I am certainly not going to stop you. And also, our member benefits for 2026 are now listed on our website. There are some new additions that we hope you find valuable. So after this event, hop on over to our website and check that out. Helping to make this series possible are our Red Bench series sponsors, RK Miles, Spruce Peak Realty, Sisler Builders, and Vermont Ski and Ride. A massive thank you for their support to ensure this series continues to live on. And I'm fully aware that you are not here tonight to listen to me, so I'm going to get into the introduction of our panel so we can dig into their stories. All right. So Barbara Ann Cochran is a member of the legendary Cochran ski family. She won Olympic gold in slalom at the 1972 Winter Games. She was a member of the U.S. ski team from 1969 to 1974. After retiring from World Cup competition, she became an educator, coach, mentor to young athletes, and recently an author. She was inducted into the U.S. Ski Hall of Fame in 1976 and the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2004. Then we have Trina Hosmer, who is a trailblazer in women's cross-country skiing. She represented the U.S. at the 1972 Winter Games, the first to include women's Nordic events. She's a Masters world champion, an active advocate for women in skiing, and heavily involved with the New England Nordic Ski Association. She was inducted into the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2015. And Betsy Shaw was raised on the slopes of Bromley. At 18, I think I'm correct, at 18, she transitioned from alpine skiing to snowboarding. That switch, with the support of Burton, took her all the way to the 1998 Winter Games, where snowboarding made its Olympic debut. She was inducted into the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2014. She is also currently living in Scotland and serves as an athlete ambassador for Protect Our Winters in the UK. And because she's in Scotland, there is a pretty big time change. It is the middle of the night for her. So I just want you to know how appreciative we are that you agreed to join us tonight. And Donna Weinbrecht was the first Olympic gold medalist in women's freestyle mogul skiing at the 1992 Winter Games. This was also the debut of mogul skiing at the Olympics. Today, she remains a passionate advocate for the sport and runs the Donna Weinbrecht Experience at Killington. This includes women's all-terrain and co-ed mogul camps. She was inducted into the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2007. And moderating tonight's event is Peter Graves. Peter is a TV sportscaster and race announcer for alpine, cross-country, snowboarding, and freestyle skiing. He's also a museum board member, a member of the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, and most widely known as the voice of skiing in America. He has covered hundreds of Olympic, World Cup, and championship events. Everyone in the audience will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end, so please type those into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to as many as time allows. And with that, Peter, I hand this over to you.
Thanks, Abby, very much. This is really a historic event with these Olympians here, all with very deep roots in Vermont skiing. And I'm so excited to have you. So thanks, Betsy and Barbara Ann and Trina and Donna for taking some time out. You heard Abby note that Betsy is in Scotland right now. So starting with the person who really stayed up late, Betsy, let's begin with you. You grew up in Bennington, Vermont, started skiing at 3 years old. We're on the Burren Burton ski team. And in college, you originally started as an alpine racer, later transferred to UVM and went from alpine to snowboarding. Tell me, how did you make that transition?
Oh, it was not an expected one. And first of all, I grew up in Manchester, just so I have to say that because so did my father, and so did his father, and so did his father's father, I believe. So, but I was born in Bennington's hospital, so that's why you thought that. But I actually had stopped ski racing. Just was feeling a little bit unmotivated by it, a little lost, maybe. Something to do with being 19 years old. It was actually I didn't even learn to snowboard till I was 20. But I did a little ski instructing at Bolton Valley actually, and there were a lot of snowboarders up there, including Andy Coughlin, who was one of the original Burton snowboarders. He and his brother had started a shop in Burlington, and took buses to Bolton at night to go snowboarding. So I got on one once and learned how to snowboard, and became extremely frustrated thinking I was going to learn really fast because I had been a ski racer and, what is this funny little sport? I think, I'll try it out, and it couldn't be too hard. And it was extremely humbling, to the point where I sort of stubbornly kept going, doing it every day because was so determined to master it. But I didn't have any goals with it other than I just wanted to be able to do it well. And I think that the window of opportunity was just perfect, because even though I was 20 in my early 20s, I was learning a brand new sport. There wasn't a lot of women doing it, not seriously in any way. So I was convinced to go into some local races. Actually, one I did, it was in Massachusetts. I think it was at Wachusett Valley or something like that. Um, and went in a slalom race. All I knew how to do was turn left and right and hit the brakes, but I knew how to go around gates in the course. And I think I got second place and won something like 250 or $300 as a college student. I thought, well, this is sort of fun. This is not something that happened in ski racing. So I think that was maybe also a little bit of a carrot at the end of the stick. And one thing led to another, really. I was approached by Jake Burton for a sponsorship, something that, is unheard of now, that was that new and young. That he actually came to me, rather than me trying to sell myself to him. And they supported me, the Burton team, and next thing I knew, I was going out west. And next thing I knew, I was going to Europe because there was a big alpine snowboarding scene there, and I started specializing in the racing. I learned quickly that I didn't really love being in the air. I wasn't a freestyler. I just wanted to go fast and carve. And it was always fun. I think one thing I really liked was I didn't really have the head for ski racing when I was young. I was sort of very intimidated by the ski academy girls. And I could kind of hold my own in slalom, but nothing else, probably because I was from Bromley and we didn't have a trail long enough to train proper giant slalom. But I found snowboarding a little more of a breath of fresh air because it was so new, and it just felt sort of like there wasn't that sort of pressure of people didn't even have coaches when I started, which it just was sort of like a big get together party a little bit. But little did I know it was turned into something very serious by the time the Olympics came along.
And Betsy, you were part of that inaugural group in snowboarding at the Olympic Games. Um, how were you, the new sport, received by your racing colleagues?
You mean my racing colleagues from skiing?
Yes, or
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that we were definitely a reluctant group of Olympians. I would like to say because there was a political battle happened. We had our own grassroots foundation, the International Snowboard Federation, and everyone was just having a good time. And I was on an international team. There was people representing, from 10 different countries. I think we all trained together with the same coach, Rob Roy from Bend, Oregon, who used to be a Canadian the downhill coach. He just, someone asked him if he would coach us, so it felt very not typical. There was no national teams or anything, and so when the FIS came along and saw that snowboarding was something that wasn't going to go away, and they sort of stepped in and said we're going to take it to the Olympics. I think a lot of us were like, "What?" We weren't sure if it was the right road to go down. So I think that definitely felt strange. But um, one thing when you're talking about what other ski racers thought, we used to train every fall in November in Breckenridge, which is a very popular place for the entire World Cup to show up before I think the Birds of Prey or something. But Breckenridge had a great setup for early season training. And I remember just that some of the coaches wouldn't take us seriously, and my coach was always fighting to get us space to train because we were just considered a bunch of yahoos and not serious about what we were doing. So that was interesting, having been a ski racer, and then which a lot of us were. I think kids who had been ski racers and now are snowboarders. Not all of us, but many of us.
All right, Betsy, thank you. We'll get back to you. Let's go to Barbara Ann right now. Born in Claremont, New Hampshire, the second of four siblings of the famous skiing Cochrans, from Richmond, Vermont. Dad Mickey was your coach for a long time, but a family of skiing champions. And Barb, Olympic gold medal, that will always be attached to your name. 1972 in Sapporo. You also won a silver medal at the 75th World Championships. During that period, you must have found, and are you aware, looking back and with self-reflection, that you were really on the brink of something between 70 and 72?
Well, yeah, back in that time, like now I'm looking back and I'm going, wow, we were really part of skiing history. It's like now, like all the changes that have come about, whether it's like from the, we didn't have snowmaking back then. It was all natural snow. We didn't have the equipment has changed so much since I was racing on straight skis, and I was talking to someone not too long ago and said, yeah, when our skis were being made, we used to have the groove down the bottom of the base, and you had a spoon or something to take out the wax as after you were waxing. So I'm just going, wow, like I can't believe all these changes that have happened since 70, 72, 74 was the last year I raced. And just the history of it, it's like I look back and go, yeah, it's like, not too much before me. There were women that were on the team a little bit older than I was, and they were telling stories that, like, when they first made the U.S. team, it wasn't like it is now, and it wasn't even like it was back in 1970 that like I always felt, oh, the US ski team is well established. It's like, yeah, we go to these training camps. We, have the US ski team coaches. It's like we go to World Cup races. But looking back on it, it's like the World Cup didn't even start until, I don't know if it was at 67 or 68. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I was on the brink of that too. And now, I mean, it's like, it's amazing how far it's come. from
Yeah,
that.
it certainly is. And your family, which includes Marilyn and Lindy and Bobby, all excellent skiers as well. Marilyn was a three-time national champion. Bobby, a nine-time national champion. Lindy, a two-time national champion. What does it feel like that the Cochran legacy is being carried on by your son, Ryan?
It's I'm just like I'm so proud of the effort that he puts in and the perseverance. And I mean, he's 33, and I actually retired when I was 23. So he's been at it 10 years longer than I ever kept at it. And that amazes me, that because I remember how I felt, and that I I was ready to retire. I think I was ready to retire at one point, but not completely, so that if I'd had like a year or two off and then would have wanted to come back. But the times were just different then. But to have Ryan, my dream was to have Ryan, um, and some of the cousins, Robbie Kelly and Tim Kelly, Jimmy Cochran, have them on the team all at the same time. And because I know for a family that when I was racing, I think part of our success was because we had each other, and we weren't, just an individual by ourselves without family, on at the resorts that we went to, at the races that we went to. I think it was very, very important for us. Although I didn't realize it, I knew it meant a lot at the time, but looking back on it, I didn't realize how important it was to have, Marilyn was there the whole time that I was on the World Cup. She was there. Lindy was a little bit younger, so then she joined the family. And for Lindy, I think it was really hard for her, that because Bobby, Marilyn, and I all retired after the season in 1974, but Lindy continued to race, and I never realized how difficult that was for her not to have the rest of the family on the team with her. Um, but yeah, forget what your question was, but
Well, that you answered it fine. I knew both your mom and dad. Your dad had a stint with the U.S. ski team, which I think was not entirely pleasant. But
yeah,
what I'm
no.
what I'm sure was pleasant was his opportunity to work with you guys. It must have been special to being coached by your dad.
It was so special. I mean, he was the by far he was the best coach I ever had. And I when he had the opportunity to become the alpine director for the US ski team, I was really excited because I knew what a great coach he was. Marilyn was somewhat reserved about it because she was worried that he wouldn't, like, she felt like maybe politics would get in the way, that 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 there'd be some difficulty there. And as it turned out, it really there was kind of a tough experience for him. Partially, like, we were at a race in Franken, Germany. The women were in Franken, Germany for a World Cup race, and we all went to bed. Dad was there. He went to bed. But then when we got up in the morning, he was gone, and we had no idea. This was before cell phones. It was like the communication was no internet. The communication was pretty difficult. And so we didn't find out for, I think it was at least 2 days, maybe 3 days, what happened. And what had happened was that my mom she was at home. She was trying to run the ski area by herself, and she was cleaning up in the kitchen, and she had the radio on, and she heard on the radio that there were 5 members of an American family that died in a plane crash in Italy. And she immediately thought that it
Oh,
was us, all of us. So
Mm.
she thought she had lost her whole family. And she had a physical and mental breakdown at that point. So Dad got the call from our doctor that he really needed to come home and you know, be there with Mom for a little bit. And by that time, like, I really thought that the whole team would get a lot out of Dad's coaching. But what I didn't realize is that there were some athletes that felt that uh, they were afraid that Dad would like give us preferential treatment, that his 4 kids and not so much the others. And there was one in particular that I know had a lot of talent and had some good results, but that year that Dad was coaching, she wasn't skiing quite as well as the potential that she had. And I think part of it, like, so I think she kind of questions Dad's coaching and didn't have the confidence in his coaching. And I think that kind of permeated, in that culture. And so it was kind of difficult. Um, and, and then what happened was that the, the, um, the trustee that was very favorable, that really wanted Dad to be coaching, like, had moved on from the trustees, and the rest of the trustees, at least as I understand this story, felt that they wanted to get some of the coaches back that had been there. And so I don't know if there was pressure from any of the athletes, and particularly this one athlete, to not have Dad. But when he said, like, he was home for, I think, about 2, maybe 3 weeks. And he called the ski team and said, I'm ready to go back now. I can go back. And they kept telling him, we're not going to send you back yet. And so then what happened was that when the World Championships were coming up in St. Moritz, they finally gave Dad permission to go back, but they said, we don't want you coaching any of the other kids. You can only coach your own kids. So it was a tough year. It was, mom really uh, suffered from, depression, and it was, it took her quite a long time to recover from that. And, and then, so it wasn't, it wasn't as great a year as what I thought it would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Marilyn, Bobby, and I all retired after that year.
And after your gold medal, you then carried the flag for the United States in the closing ceremonies. That must have been, other than the Olympic medal, quite a thrill.
It really was a thrill. I think I was a little bit clueless as to what I was doing. I remember they said that other nations do dip the flag when they pass by what was in Japan. So the I don't know, what is it? President? I don't even know.
Or it would be the emperor, I think. Yeah.
The emperor. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the US didn't do that. So it was like, I was like clueless. I didn't even know where they were. So it's a good thing I didn't have to dip the flag. Yeah, but it was, it was quite an honor.
That's great, Barb. And we'll get back to you as well. Let's go to Trina Hosmer. Trina, to give some context to women's cross-country skiing, they first made their Olympic debut back in 1952 in Oslo, but for a number of reasons, some of which I'm not sure I know of, we put together our first team around 1970. We had the World Championship trials in Putney. And Trina, you made that first team. And then, right on the heels of that, you made your Olympic team in 72. Kind of recall those days and what it was like.
Trina, you are muted. You need to unmute yourself. You see the audio button?
Yeah.
There you go, Trina. We
Yeah.
didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There were very few of us, and I really didn't start skiing, cross-country skiing, till I went to UVM, met Dave, and he was coaching, helping coach the UVM team. He had been on the UVM team. And so I just started tagging along with them. And then, so that was in 68. Then we went to Seattle. He was getting a PhD, and I joined up with this amazing track club or running group of females. And one of them was the best in the world. She had won 5 years in a row the cross country running championship. So I started training with these women and got in incredible shape. And then they announced they were going to have the tryouts in Putney. I still skied when I could. And in 1970 for this team. And so Dave encouraged me to come back and try. And I came back, but I had no support whatsoever. But the Alaska contingent sort of came down, the women's teams, and they were trying out. And Ann Thomas, she was in high school at the time, so her mother was with her. And they said, oh, you can, room with us and we'll drive, because they just weren't in Putney. They moved around a bit, the trials. And so I don't know, maybe there was a group of 40 or so trying out for this team. And so we went to 4 or 5 races, and then they selected the team, and then that was 4 of us. And we went to first we went to Sweden and competed. And that's when, you really had your eyes open that there were a lot of women cross-country skiing. And we were all in awe when a 40-year-old, which we thought was old, school teacher beat us all. So we said, wow, this is, this has been going on for a while, and women are skiing and they're really doing great. So it was, just a real eye opener. And then we go to Visakhi Tatri for the World Championships, and they just had put up these high-rise cement blocks, hotels in this beautiful forest for this event. And they put us in the same hotel with the Russians, which was very enlightening or intimidating. And the Russian, I'll never forget her name, Galina Kulikova.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was a force and won everything. It was just, but the amazing thing was these women could not, they were escorted all the time by these big other older women with these full-length meat coats on. So it was, they come into the dining room and entourage and it was very intimidating. But you realize then there was a lot of women cross-country skiing.
Yeah. So. And also when I think of you, because we're of similar era, is Martha Rockwell. She was certainly a trailblazer for the United States in women's cross-country skiing. Tell me about her.
Oh, well, she was, she really sort of, I think, invented training, especially, what females could do. I know that she was in Putney, so she trained with Bob Gray, Bill Koch, the Caldwells, and just it didn't matter that she was a woman. She just was going to, train with them and keep up with them. So she was a real, pioneer in terms of how much a female could do, how hard they could push themselves. And we are still, she doesn't live far from me, and we have a lot of laughs together.
That's great. And you've won over 30 gold medals at the Masters World Championships, cementing yourself as not only who is someone who is very strong during her at the peak of her competitive years, but also throughout your life. And I think it's amazingly remarkable that you've stayed with it, Trina, this long.
Well, to me, that's the gift I received from being on the U.S. ski team for 6 years. Well, I finally really learned how to ski. And, and I said, this, I want to do this the rest of my life. And so that's, I love to ski even now. And what's even more, I love sharing the joy of cross country skiing and being really able to kick and glide. I said I've been perfecting it for 65 years now, and I still got more to learn. So, anyways, it's a great sport. So,
and you're still actively involved with Women's Day for NEDSA, which has been going, I don't know how many years, but more than 20 probably.
Well, 25 years. I'll give that a little plug. This is, we started it in Holderness, and school was our first site. And I'll never forget, we had no idea if anybody was going to show up or not. And one of the local women said, my son came running in this morning and said, Mommy, all these cars are pulling up to the gym and all these women are getting out. So it turned out to be a great day. And we have a maximum of 200 women, and it fills every year. And we're going back to Holderness this year. So very excited.
Oh, thanks for that plug. That's wonderful. Trina, I wanted to ask you something. I kind of refer to the Diggins effect. And the big news yesterday was that Jessie has announced her retirement for the end of the season. She really brought something special to women's skiing. What's your take on her?
Oh, well, I mean, she actually, I will give first credit, to Keegan getting women's skiing going. And actually, the person that really is Matt Wickham, the coach. I mean, he understood that it is a team sport, and you do, especially women, need the support of the other team members. And then Jessie just has taken it to a whole nother level. And I think, we go to Norway every year. We watch the Tour de Ski on Norwegian television, and they are talking about Jessie all the time. Now, that would have never happened, a few years ago. Norwegians would not talk about U.S. skiers, except, Bill Koch winning his great medal. But anyways, so she has taken it to the level where U.S. skiers are recognized, Nordic skiers are really recognized. And
Trina, it's not a one person team either. I think Jessie has been responsible for rising a lot of boats in the tide.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's several that are close on the podium or close to the podium. So to me, it's just a thrill to be, able to watch this and see what's happening. And yes, it's amazing what they've all done.
Well, thank you, Trina. We'll get back to you too. Let's go to another woman who broke barriers, and that is my friend Donna Weinbrecht down in New Jersey. Donna, a 1992 Olympic gold medalist in freestyle in moguls. Donna, you did a lot of your training in the formative years and later at Killington. What brought you to Killington?
Well, we were like, my parents didn't ski when they grew up, and we had Canadians move into our small lake community in New Jersey. And we started, I think I was 7, and it was in the 70s, and freestyle was kind of booming, hot dogging and all that, was covering all the ski magazines and powder. And we started a little ski area in New Jersey called Hidden Valley, which had 1 lift and 3 runs. And when my father said, we were kind of seeing us, skiing down backwards. They said, well, we need difficult terrain. So being a builder, he built a house up in Killington. We had a family move up there full time that we knew, and a lot of families would get ski houses. And so he built, that was in, I think, 1979. So we were there for quite a long time. And then, in Jersey, they would never let moguls develop, so it was fun to get to a mountain and just embrace that kind of skiing. And I think at that time too, they just kind of carved the famous Outer Limits run. And that was just like 2 football fields. If anybody really knows of that famous run, it's always filled with moguls. And I just took it as a challenge, to get up there and find like people, like-minded people, and just go ski moguls together. And so we were weekend. I think I was in high school at that point when we were weekend warriors for the longest time. And I was talked into, going into the famous Bear Mountain Mogul Challenge. I didn't even know that there actually was a freestyle team. Some, athletes that trained there, Bobby Altegary, Steve Desovich, Liz McIntyre, you know, um, were on the Killington Mountain School. And it was like a huge education, for me. I was just still very naive, but really enjoyed this form of skiing. I raced, as a young person, started my high school team down in New Jersey, but I always just felt more comfortable in the moguls.
Yeah. Um, you had 5 World Cup championships in addition to your Olympic medal, 46 individual World Cup wins, 7 individual World Championship medals, and a 7-time U.S. champion. And as you were coming up, and I really remember this well, there was such a groundswell towards freestyle skiing. It was hot and fresh and all of those things. And you were a big part of that.
Well, I feel like it was so organic how I made it to the team, so talking about those formative years at Killington, being talked into, it just kind of unfolded in such a organic manner. It just, make going to that fun challenge, and then everybody saying, "Oh, you should try out for the team." And so at the time, freestyle was looked at as the rogues of the mountain, and I went to art school after high school, but it closed. And then I said to my parents, I'm gonna make the freestyle team. And my mom was like, yeah, right. So I moved up to Vermont. I worked at night, trained during the day, went to all my Eastern meets. And, I made it to nationals in 86. I think I placed like 16th. It was at Winter Park. And then the following year, I was like, all right, if I don't make this, I'm going to go back to art school. So the following year, it was at Squaw Valley, and I made the team. It was 87. That was nationals. And my first year, so now my first year is 88, and they're qualifying for the Olympics. And and freestyle at that time, we traveled as, ballet, inverted aerials, and mogul skiers. And I'm just sitting in these meetings and talking about, like, as a kid, I was just like, I was so fascinated by the Olympics, and I just thought, oh, that's for, special people. I mean, so now I'm sitting in this sport that I love, and I might be able to go to the Olympics. So here I am, a rookie. I knew I wasn't able to go to that first Olympics because we were going to be just a demonstrating a sport for Calgary.
Calgary.
And so you had to have previous World Cup points. So I always knew. So I was a rookie, and I was just so excited that this was happening. And so, during February, they go. I came back to Killington and watched opening ceremonies. And, at the time, they really, weren't, they didn't really like the judge sports, right? And I think, we had some, the aerialists were still jumping without helmets. I know, as a broadcaster too, they were supposed to do Nordic jumping one day in Calgary. It was too windy, and they actually like said they couldn't have it, but they had to fill in a TV spot. So the aerialists were like, "We'll do it," And unfortunately, we had a few people that got concussed. Ballet was still, I think there was skating kind of judging, some kind of something going on there. And then, but moguls, because of the timing element, was able to get full medal status. So here I'm sitting as a rookie, and my sport all of a sudden becomes an Olympic event. And it was so monumental to me. And now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have these next years, I could go and get the first gold medal for the sport, which was, my first year. I think I got nationals in '88. I won nationals. I got on the podium a few times in Japan and Switzerland. And then the second year, I was second in the world. And then my third year I won, world championships at Lake Placid. I won the World Cup, and then, they had me as the surest thing to win gold for '92. And I felt that kind of intensity because I felt like I was representing my sport and, all my other teammates. And, it's nice to hear Barbara talking about like her family and being on, having that family unit. But, my freestyle team became my family too, So we were this traveling circus, and it was just amazing, amazing experience.
Well, you had a great career. Trina, I wanted to ask you, um, and I think this was before you got into skiing, but you were a national caliber level 1500-meter runner. Did that make the transition to cross country skiing a little easier?
Well, they both kind of happened at the same time. I got,
Okay.
in really good shape by training with this group in Seattle. And we would go to all these track meets. And yeah, one year I qualified to go to Russia, but I didn't go because of the skiing. So I always loved skiing a lot more than running, but it certainly helped, with
Yeah.
the aerobic part, but it did not help, with the skiing part. So that took time,
Yeah.
and a lot of time. So it helped with the aerobics, but you had to ski.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the remarkable career you've had and how you've been so giving to the sport. You have a lot of fans out there, Trina.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, Barbara, I wanted to ask you, um, I know you guys as a family were really, really tight. Was there ever an interesting or funny story about somebody beating somebody or and did that percolate out any negativity at all, or were you just one big happy family?
Oh, I think, I think a lot about this well, because Marilyn and I are 11 months apart. And then I'm actually 11 months older than Bobby. Bobby and I actually were born in the same year. So Bobby and I always moved up together in the different age brackets. And then Marilyn would have 1 year by herself, and then Bobby and I would be in the second year in the same age bracket. But Marilyn, like Marilyn always she was always better than I was when we were younger. She was, and I think the first time well, the first time I beat her, I think I was like 10, and it was in a lollipop race that were just these fun races that your prize was a lollipop, if you won
Nice.
your age group. And at Smuggler's Notch, I like I beat her, and honestly, for me, I felt like, oh, they must have made a mistake. It was like it was hand timing too, so no, who knows how accurate it was. So that was one thing. But then I know for like we had in Vermont, we had the three councils, the Northern Vermont Council, Mid Vermont Council, and Southern Vermont Council. And then at the end of the season, we'd have the all stars. So all three councils would send their best racers to this event. And I think we were like maybe, gosh, how old was that? Like 12, 13 years old or something. And Marilyn actually had hurt her knee, but she didn't think that would be much of a problem, that she'd still be able to win and stuff. But she was shocked when I beat her. So
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
yeah.
Ah.
So there is, like, Marilyn, especially, if of all the four of us, I would say Marilyn is the most competitive. And it's like I was so used to not winning that when I did start to win, I felt like it started to kind of shock me a little bit. But the interesting thing for me looking back on the World Cup is that I really felt like if Marilyn did well, I made a mistake. If I did well, Marilyn made a mistake. And it was, I feel like it was our way of we were in the same race, but like, and I'm sure it was subconscious. I don't think we really were consciously doing it, but I really feel like it was our way of not actually, even though if we were in the same race, we didn't actually compete with each other,
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think that was something that was interesting for me.
Yeah, and to me, and Betsy Shaw. A final question before we go out and take questions from our audience. You were in the research I've done heralded as somebody that would likely win a medal at the Olympic Games. It didn't turn out that way. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
How do you recall, because you were still a young athlete, do you recall feeling pressure?
To be honest, Peter, I wasn't young. I was 33.
Oh,
And
indeed.
the
I guess you
girl
were.
who won, the woman who won was 18 at the time. But the age had nothing to do with it. I actually was very competitive. I felt like I was just still getting better even at that age. And I it's funny you asked this question because I only just recently watched again the I think I had only ever done that one other time. I came across a video on CBS that showed the entire race, and I was with my daughter watching, and it kind of blew my mind actually, and it brought everything up again and made me really mad at myself. But I don't know. It was just not my day, I guess. But I was very aware I had beaten that Karine Ruby. She was a French girl. I had beaten her before on single runs. I'd never beaten her in the tire, like put two runs together to beat her, but I've definitely bested her. I knew that was in striking distance of her. But I think that I just didn't have the mental game at the time, and it turns out that I was actually doing fine. And also, it was a bit of a fiasco. I don't know if you remember the Nagano Olympics. The weather was absolutely they just kept having to cancel all the
A lot of
alpine
snow.
events. It was fog and snow and rain and snow, and they kind of botched the way they set up the course. It broke through, like the first couple racers had a clean course, and then it started breaking through like crust, which made for a very, very bad show. I mean, you know, I think the girl that was second, once all was said and done, was 3 seconds behind, and the next one was 4. You know, it was not a good show for anybody. But I felt terrible. It's one of those experiences. Anyone who's you're doing a course and you've got those nerves, and sometimes you can feel as if you're out of your body and you think you're not doing well, and it's and I was telling myself, and then I even like I think I was doing fine, and then on like the 6th gate or 7th or something, I lost an edge and sort of went down on my stomach a little bit, but I popped right back up, which you can do on a snowboard. You know, I just sort of slid out, but it actually was nothing. I only realized that now watching it, but at the time I thought it was over then. And so I was just really angry at myself, and you know, didn't get in the right headspace, you know, telling myself I just, you know, blew it. But then I got further down the course. And then I saw a split time, and I was actually one of the second fastest rate. Like I was right in there with it. Even after that, I was in contention. This was on the very first run, but then I just lost an edge into a steep, and slid out, and my board was on the wrong side of the gate, but on a steep. And on a snowboard, you can't climb. You can't. You know, you see skiers often like getting up and climbing to go get a gate, so they at least get a second run. But on a snowboard, it's just, you know, painful. You could, but it's painful. You'd have to like do a crab walk up because your board is stuck to your feet. You can't walk. So
Well,
anyway, I was
thank you for that.
disqualified. Yeah. So I was very disappointed, but I wasn't holding back in any way. So I actually told myself, you know, as long as I'm going for it, whatever happens is whatever happens. Only one person wins. And I didn't want to get second or third. I was like, I either want to win or, you know, say that I, you know, DQ'd trying.
Yeah. In fact, you did. Donna, I want to direct a question to you. Do you know the name Allison Kozar? She said, fun fact, Donna's brother-in-law married my husband and me.
What? Oh, Phil Black?
It must be. I don't know.
Yeah, because I only have one sister, so.
Okay. So she has a question.
Yeah.
And it's something she's said she's been nerding out about, studying to be a prosthetic fitter. My question is about ligamentous laxity and the menstrual cycle, and how training is being modified to reduce female athlete injury. Have any of you within your training had this aspect been considered as a professional female athlete? And if you have any resources, I'd be glad to see them. So thank you, Allison. Do you want to take a whack at this one, Donna?
This is all new to me. No, I have no, you know, it was interesting because I just saw a Instagram post with Lindsey Vonn and just how much they're learning, just sports science and how to train better. But I'm sure, you know, they have that information now. But no, I was never educated on any of that. And it sounds very interesting. Yeah. That's a good question.
Thank you, Donna. Betsy, great to hear your voice. Thanks for telling your story. We have a note from Sam McCann. In a recent Nordic skiing and alpine as well, women seem to be excelling while the men seem to be lagging. Is that due to coaching or some other factors? And does money have to do with it? And Trina, let's go to you on this Nordic question.
Repeat. Say.
In recent Nordic skiing and alpine as well, women seem to be excelling while the men seem to be lagging. Is that due to coaching or other factors? How much money does have has to
Well,
do?
oh, I think the whole momentum, it started actually but it's just really in 1972 with Title IX when they finally, recognized that women can do these sports. And it's been building since then. And now the women are just saying, it's kind of like, I can do this. And yeah, taking off. And I think women are mentally strong. And hey, yeah, I don't know. What does everybody else feel?
I don't know. I
Anybody
think
else want to take it? Yeah, Donna?
I don't know. There sometimes like within my sport, like I think there's a bit of like a dance. Skiing is connecting and there's strength, but there's finesse. So my belief is that um, there might be just this touch that we have. I don't know. I think the finesse and the dance and the timing, and then what we were just talking about a little bit was sports science and being strong. And and it's just great to be talking with all these great women tonight and all these great athletes and hearing their stories and um, and maybe great role models, and believing you can, be a champion and it happened there and, and just knowledge. And sometimes it's just knowing that you can and believing that you can. Um, and I know that we worked that on with the mogul team. It's always like, oh, the Canadians and the French, and maybe if they screw up, maybe we could get a podium. It's but we worked on them there mentally, saying, no, you can win.
Yeah.
You are strong enough. Sometimes it's just knowing that you can, getting to a place of knowing. You know.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Peggy Chin, our colleague, journalist colleague, and my friend, writes to all of you, Betsy, Barbara Ann, Trina, and Donna. Thank you for doing this. It's great to hear your stories. Is there something about growing up or learning your sport in Vermont that helped make you become what you are? Why don't you all give a brief answer to that?
Blue ice.
Blue ice.
I think that definitely that gives you an advantage. The type of conditions you come across in Vermont absolutely put hair on your chest.
I agree, Betsy.
I think it makes you more in touch with carving, and I don't know. I think it's definitely. I feel like I was given some good mental toughness and physical toughness by just learning how to ski in really, really crappy conditions, including blue ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first junior nationals I ever went to were held in Winter Park, Colorado. And the Eastern team, like the Western teams were saying, oh, it's so icy. And the Eastern team kept going, where's the ice? We don't see any ice. It's just so different for us. We always felt like if you want to become a very good technical skier, then you need to ski in the East. And that,
Yeah.
because we used to have rain injected conditions sometimes once it rained and then it got cold and pure ice. It just so icy. But the other thing that I think is that for me, a sense of community too in Vermont. I think that that was something that was always really special with, like I think that for us, it was definitely a family sport. It was something that we always did in the winter and really brought us together. And I think that that was an important piece of what Vermont kind of gave to us.
All right. Well, we have time for two very quick questions. Donna and Betsy, are you still skiing and or snowboarding? And do you have any children that ski or ride?
Well, I work at Killington and I do women's programs, and it's not mogul specific, but I always want to address moguls because I feel like, you're going to go down a run and all of a sudden you run into moguls. And I want to get them to feel comfortable and that any size turn that you could get down it. I also do a men and women, and that's mogul specific specialty camps at Killington. So yes, I am still riding, still enjoying, and still sharing the passion. And a little bit about that other, question is like outer limits and skiing once again, all that different kind of conditions. And I bet me prepared for anything that was thrown at me. But no, I took my career very late. I was probably 37. Yeah, 37 after Nagano. And I only met James, who's a Scotsman, Betsy.
Oh,
Yes, he grew up
lucky
there
you.
just outside of Glasgow and Edinburgh in a little place called Denny. And yeah, so I'm a great aunt of five, nieces and nephews, and but no kids.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Sam McCann writes, so good to hear from all of you. Thanks, Trina, Barbara, Donna, and Betsy. And with that, we will close out the questions right now. Also, with my profound thanks for all of you joining us here and spreading a little Vermont love through the Vermont Ski Museum. So it's been great. I thank you. And Betsy, we can send it back to you or Abby. I know.
Abby, yeah.
Who is that person?
Yeah.
It's like,
But who was the other
what am I
person, Donna
responsible for?
Weinbrecht? Who was the other Donna Weinbrecht that was on the screen? Did you happen to catch that?
No.
And she was
There was
listening
another
intently.
Trina.
Yeah.
Trina.
Trina. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, Abby, my dear, back to you.
Great.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, thank you,
Thanks,
Peter, and
Dave.
thank you to our panel for joining us tonight and for all of you in the audience for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you join us for future events. Just a little bit about what's going on at the museum. We will reopen for the season on November 28th with 2 brand new exhibits. Beginnings Surfing to Snowboarding from 1965 to 1985, and From the Alps to Vermont, the photography of Hubert Treble. And we will have an exhibit opening party on December 5th from 5 to 8. It is free to attend. You are all invited, and we hope to see you there. Don't forget to make your donations. All of us here at the museum are grateful for your support. Thanks again for tuning in. It's lovely to have you all here. Some very familiar names that are staunch supporters of this series, which is amazing. So thank you and have a wonderful night.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
Abby.
everybody.
Thanks all. Nice hearing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
No, I